Okay, good. Let's bring up Sandy, our next speaker. Hello, Sandy. Are you there? Hello, hello.
Hello there. How are
How
you?
you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm actually just going to add that other bit of to your like how people can reach you
Sure.
for do you want that, like which website, or what would you like to put up? What's easier? Because you have Instinctive Pursuits on Instagram as well.
Yes, Instinctive Pursuits is one of my emails at gmail.com.
Okay.
And my website is endinggloballoneliness.com. And you can reach me there at sandy at endinggloballoneliness.com, but it's a lot of typing.
Yeah.
It's a
All
long
right. So thank you so much. I love how you and I even met. So we met in Waterloo at the salt spa there, the Oasis Healing Salt Spa, and there's a beautiful healer, Eva, who we both know, and you were there to see Eva, and it was just, it's one of those things. It was divine timing. I feel it was like I just happened to be there, and that's just how the universe connects me to others. And I just felt, what you were sharing with me in those moments was just so neat. And we're both super excited, Virginia and I both, for your chat today. So maybe just before we get started, let us know, how do you introduce yourself? Who are you, and what is it that you do?
So my name is Sandy Glaze. I consider myself a personal transformation and self-development coach. Now I work primarily with the unseen energies, emotional and spiritual energies. And I do appreciate we all have different interpretations of what those can mean. So we express the way that it resonates with us, and then the people that we're meant to work with, it will resonate with them as well. Right. So a lot of the work I do is about clearing up past memories or traumatic events. But I also help people raise into their consciousness and be able to climb up into that higher realm of themselves. Because after all, who is it all about? For you, it's about you. For me, it's about me. But we all come into a vertical pillar of strength and then work together. Right, so it's about raising our awareness, which is another word that I use for consciousness. So that's kind of what I help people if they're stuck and they're looking to find a different pattern, a breakthrough to understand what truth is. Right. Some people call it love and light. I call it love and truth. And but what is the truth when it's so subjective and there's so much manipulation of information? So how do we find out what's true according to what's right for us? So that's kind of the space that I'm in.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. I love it because you're right in line with what we're doing as well. And yes. It's so nice for me because we've been online for the last, year and a bit that we've been running the Healing Soul School. And so it's just so nice for me. I love people. I'm such a social butterfly. So it's so nice to be able to meet people in person and have these kinds of conversations. And, it's not over a Zoom video. So this is really great. So I'm excited because you're one of the people I've actually met in real life. Which is cool for me. All right. So
your topic, Ava amazing. Ava's just amazing with the healing. I haven't had to go back, anything, right? So it was, so she's definitely one of us too.
Yes, totally. And so I was trained with quantum healing and she does quantum touch. So we connected that way, at first, but I love it because she, with quantum, and maybe you can even explain, like even in your session with her, is just like the feeling of her hands and the touch and intention is she's asking, for that, whatever your pain is, to be shifted and to be moved. And for me, when she did mine, this is the first time I had a quantum touch experience. So because ours is in that like a meditative state, the way that I learned, because it was over Zoom. And so when she put her hands on my waist, one of my hips was up, which is normal. Like I often go to an osteopath for that. Excuse me. And yeah, she shifted it. And also she was rubbing a part of my upper neck here that just also released this pain that I had. I didn't even know that I was feeling, but it just helped shift some things in my back too, which is really neat.
And she does. And this is what the consciousness is. And I'm gonna step into this within the presentation that I share today. But to understand, we're not dealing with a full deck. We haven't been given all the energy information per se. Right. So this is where it comes in. So she sees the energies, she feels the energies. And I was even helping her as she was moving my energy. I was breathing and moving it with her because I was in such bad shape when I got there. So it's just interesting how we can, I believe we heal ourselves. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. We are our own best healers. Absolutely. So cool.
Yes.
All right. Your topic for today. So the inversion of energy, and I put in media because it's like what we're seeing out there really isn't what, well, I don't want to
It's
get.
not what they want. It's not what is true. It's not what is real, and it does not forward our best agenda. So it's up to us to understand when we're getting manipulated by the inversion of energy, because everything happens in the unseen world, in the fourth, fifth, and whatever dimension before it lands in the physical. So when we start to see that they're messing with us in other dimensions, we have our own aha moments, which brings our own awareness in. Because when you have I'm saying you, but I mean anyone, when you have an aha moment, that's about embodying something you know and you can't unknow it. That's what brings our consciousness to a higher level, in my opinion.
Right. You just gave me an aha moment because you're like in another dimension. Because I've just turned off all of the things, just there's so much fear and things that are happening, and I'm aware, but I don't need to keep watching and listening because it really does affect your frequency, right? And how you're feeling, whether you're back into fight or flight or not. And so I like that.
Words I broke down is the observer point. We have to see what's going on in the world. Can we see what goes on in the world, but stay centered energetically? Watch it. So I'm looking at you right now, but watch it for the information it is. Don't attach, I won't say a meaning, because sometimes you have to attach a meaning to it, but don't attach an outcome to it, and look at it for what it is. Why this is so important, it's the observer that collapses the quantum wave function. So if we're not watching it, we're not collapsing it. Without getting political, do you know how many people are sending accountability to a prime minister that I can name right now? They're not sending it. They're not sending, we need you to, or anything like that. It's just, you will be held accountable. You are going to be held accountable for what you're doing. Right. And then they let it go. But they set that intention and put it out there. But we can set those intentions without malice. If we put malice to it, then what do we call that? A psychic attack. Right. And we're guilty of it. So we don't want to be guilty of that. We want to stay observing, watching, non-reactive, and still align with our values, our principles, and our morals.
Right.
Big order.
Yeah, it is for sure. So tell us some of the things that are out there, maybe that aren't, or, you were explaining to me about the chakras, right? And just even colors that are out there, things that we know.
Okay, so I look at this one through a different lens.
Okay.
And I look at this, so I look at the physical body. The physical body, according to Dr. Gary Young of Young Living Oils, who has passed, he says the physical body registers between 62 and 78. He says cold start at 58. Are you there?
Yep. Can you?
Where did you go? I can't see you now.
Come back to the StreamYard tab. And I'm just waiting for your email. There it is.
What is going on here? I'm only getting videos from you. Here we go. This is too bad that this is taking so long. So when you look at the physical body, it registers at 62 to 78. When you look, and then twice.
Oh.
There you go. So when you look,
okay, let's just ground.
I'm going to start all over again. Okay, so totally ground, bring it back. So when you look at the cone of consciousness, the physical body registers between 62 and 78. Cold start at 58, flus at 57, according to Dr. Gary Young, cancer at 42, physical death registers at 25. So look at where shame and guilt are on that chart.
The bottom.
Shame registers at 20, guilt registers at 30. So when somebody tries to shame you or put you in shame, they are basically wishing death upon you. Notice the consciousness, the energy. This is all about knowing how to manage our energy flow. If you try to put somebody in shame, you're wishing them death energy. So in the year 2000, they say in the United States, the consciousness hit about 200, which is, if you notice, the level of courage. 9/11 happens, drops everybody back into fear, lowers the consciousness because now everybody's contracting in fear instead of expanding in love. So we're working our way back up now. So you see anger is 150. I know people who feel ashamed of themselves because they have anger issues. And I remind them, maybe the anger saved your life someday because it brought your frequency up. And they look at me like I'm nuts because nobody's ever said that to them before. It doesn't give you the right to do a drive-by on anyone, but it does give you an opportunity to look at how energy. So we need to get angry right now with everything that's going on. Right. Can you be angry and not lose your center? Can you express anger because it's the proper emotion? Maybe it's telling you need to set a boundary with someone.
Right.
But it doesn't give you the right to, like I said, do a drive-by on anyone. It does not give you the right to act out on it. So we start working our way up to pride. We know how the pride has been hijacked. So you're supposed to be proud of who you are, but we're taught not to be proud of ourselves. We're taught to, oh, you're too big for your britches, or who do you think you are? This is kind of the shaming that goes on in the collective when people start to shine brightly with their light. Work your way up to neutrality. Reason, love is 528, the frequency based on the solfeggio. So he's got it in the band of 500. But enlightenment is the 700 to 1,000. Why I love that. So we want to come from our hearts. We want to get out of those lower vibrations, but we want to come from our heart, but we also want the truth of the information. And this is what brings us into a higher 5D realm of consciousness, because whoever is the observer and can see without blinders or patterns and programs affecting you, you tend to operate from a higher jumping off point to create whatever realities you want to create, right? So there's another one, another video, I think it's called Ascension, and it has a woman sitting chakras, and then it has another one beside it.
Yep, okay, I got it. Let me come back to share. Okay, go ahead.
So if we see the chakra colors, so we know red is the root chakra, orange is the sacral, where we process our emotions in our lower abdomen. Then we go into the solar plexus. So I'm sure your people know this. I'm just going to go on, just briefly go through this. Then we come into our heart chakra, which is the loving source. What is a certain medical procedure right now attacking? Pericarditis, myocarditis, strokes, heart attacks, because they do not want us coming from love. They want this, our society, to be heartbroken. Then we go into our throat, which is interesting. We're both wearing blue today, speaking our truth. I noticed that as soon as I saw you when you popped in. We have our third eye, which is the indigo color. And then we have the purple, which is your connection to source. Notice the flag on the side, how the pride colors have been taken, and the purple is at the bottom and the root chakra is at the top. Notice there's only 6 colors there. Which one's missing? The third eye, that inner knowing. It's all about an inversion of energy. You have a chart there that shows, and it's called inverted energy fields.
Okay.
So now a lot of people would say, I'm picking on the LBGT community. No, I'm picking on the fact they're hijacking our personal energy fields and they're trying to sexualize children. That's what my protest is. So you notice I've got the chakra chart on the bottom that's upside down. And the gate pride, the LBGT flag on the top.
Yep.
Corporations are promoting this. So this is why they want everybody upside down. So basically they want your spirituality up your butt and thinking with your pie hole. So why did everybody go out and buy toilet paper when COVID hit? Because they've inverted us. This started in 2015 that it really started coming out with this flag. I was at the protest rallies for the sex ed curriculum in Toronto, and I watched a politician come out. I think 2 weeks in a row, they had the flag the right side up. And then they inverted it on the third one when they brought the drag queens in. And I'm like, wow. So this is what you get to see when you observe without attachment. I watched this whole thing come in. So we know that the purple is the highest vibration. The dark blue is the next highest. And the red is the slowest. They want everybody slowed down so we don't step into our true ascension. We've got this when we start seeing this differently than what we've been conditioned to, how we've looked at it in the past. So what companies are promoting all this energy inversion? The schools are promoting it. Corporations are promoting it. Governments are promoting it. Why do they want us upside down? So can you put up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the one slide?
Yep, the one.
Where did she go? So we're going to show Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and as we wait for Christine to come back. What is missing in the Maslow's chart is he has 5 colors, and he starts with I think he goes red.
Hi.
Right. Kept talking.
I kicked myself out instead of the screen. This is what happens when you got something important to say. Here we go.
It is always what happens.
Here
Quite
we
often
go.
the internet will go out. So there's another chart there. Not that one. Go to the smaller one. That one's it's called inverted energy fields.
There we go.
Sorry, Maslow. So you see he's got red, orange, yellow, light green, blue, but he's missing the third eye. And he's missing the spirituality. So what's happened in the education system, they've taken that higher knowing out of education because they want everybody to be dumbed down as employees.
Right.
So they gave the blue and the purple to the church, while the educational institutions kept the lower energy. I didn't know this when I created this chart. Maslow was a Freemason. Oh, well, it does not just fit into the narrative when we start to realize how we've been manipulated.
Interesting.
Right. So what other charts did I give you there?
One more.
So this is what the latest is. This is a conspiracy chart that the mental health industry is using right now. They are offering a 2-day course for people to be able to diagnose mentally ill people. Notice the colors are upside down. The red is at the top. So if you believe in anything that's going on that's in the world right now that's truth related, QAnon, Deep State, George Soros, Pizzagate, Nasera, you basically are a danger to yourself and others. So we have to understand, and you and I talked a bit about this last week, just to make sure we know where we put our feet when we talk about what we do. I don't use the word healing. I don't believe I heal. I help people facilitate and clear their energy blocks. So we have to come up with a language. Otherwise we get told we're practicing mental health, which who is so arrogant to think they get to talk about the human condition as if only their field is qualified.
Right.
Like there's a lot of narcissism in there, right? But when you look at the very top one, it says the anti-Semitic point of no return. That's where you're a danger to yourself and others. You drop one down and it talks about soy boys. And a lot of why we're confused, in my opinion, is because of things like a lot of estrogen is in the system, and estrogen makes women maybe a little crazy, but it makes men weak. Right? Feminizes the men. So we have an opportunity to look at all of these different things to see why is there a block? Why do we have a block? And I'm of the opinion, if you're not afraid a little bit right now, you're not paying attention to what's happening. So we all have to know what's going on around us, but not let it guide us, not let it manipulate us, or not let it steer us into making a decision that's not in our best interest. Right. So basically, if you follow the narrative, you're grounded in reality. If you don't follow the narrative and you ask any questions, it's getting to the point now that that's what they deem as mentally ill or mental illness. So isn't this interesting how we've all been lied to?
Wow.
I haven't got this one set up yet, but if you can see this chart here, look at our money system. So if the purple were here, this would be the chakra colors, but they want us striving for the 5s and 10s and the 50s, the lower color energy.
Right.
So we're not, so energetically, we want the lower amount, the lower denominations. These guys have thought of everything. I'm told the US is now changing their money to look like ours. It's a total inversion of energy. So I have to ask you a question now. Who do you trust more, you or me? Your answer is you. This is for everybody. You know, everybody has to trust themselves. You know that, right? But people have to stop and think about that because they're not used to being asked that question. And this is when you know and you trust yourself. You know. And that's when nobody can shake you off your foundation as we move into the higher consciousness. Because when you go back to the cone of consciousness, I was out for a walk with a friend of mine this week, and people are growing spiritually right now. They're waking up to things. But when you go back to that and you start realizing that, okay, we're all looking at a 3D level to try to manifest in this reality. But what if we're meant to raise our consciousness first? And that is going to be the triggering event that flips us into the 5th dimension.
Neat.
So just looking at things just a little differently than what we're used to, how we look at things. So that's a lot of what I share with people is that consciousness, that showing them how to align energetically inside. And yes, you need the yogas, you need the reflexology, you need the massage, you maybe need an osteopath, because if your body is out of alignment energetically, you are still not going to be able to bring on all your systems the way that you want to bring your systems on. And I had been in an accident years ago and realized I could lean more one way than the other. And I went to a yoga class and he said, don't do that. Only go as far one way as you can go the other way until you can master it. So all these modalities are so required. They all dovetail.
Right.
We're all needed.
Yeah.
But there's some people out there don't want us to clue in and figure this out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's looking at the whole person.
Totally. So, and there's nobody more qualified to be you than you.
Right.
And I lead with a lot of comments like that. Doesn't matter what our field of expertise is. We all have one, regardless of what it is. And somebody we need plumbers, we need electricians who might not understand what we're doing, but maybe we can go in remotely and clear their energy with their permission.
Right.
And all help each other, right? Back in 2016, I wrote a book, Ending Global Loneliness, Finding Purpose, Love, and Dynamic Relationships. And it was interesting when I was writing this book because I knew something was wrong. I was still financial planning. I published in 16, but I started writing it in 14. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. So this is basically the first layer of the onion to build yourself back up as a person. So what is that? Finding your purpose, which doesn't always work that way. Doesn't always work in order. The next one is finding your values and what you stand for. Do you know how many people have been spoon-fed programs and values and morality? So we went through, you had to support LBGT. No, we don't. You have to, Black Lives Matter. I find Ball, Lucifer, and Moloch. So everything's been hijacked. Then we go into white privilege. No, we don't. If you don't have 1%, you're not 1% of the people with half the world's assets, you're not privileged. I'm sorry, you can call yourself that if you want, but I think it depends on how you look at it. They've even hijacked how we look at net worth. Net worth now is not who you are as a person, but it's how much money you have. So they're really pushing that 3D materialistic narrative on us. And this is what we're aspiring to overcome, right? My third chapter is on boundaries, inner, outer, and sexual boundaries.
Oh, good.
And it's interesting. The fourth one is I talk about pornography and why that needs to go. And the fifth and sixth are about healing yourself, going in and finding out why your body reacts to things based on what's happened to you. Chapter 7 is how to rock a relationship, which is funny because I'm single, but it's really interesting because we aren't taught how to have great relationships. So it's an interesting chapter. Chapter 8 is the dance between the masculine and the feminine.
Cool.
Chapter 9 is about feminine sexuality and bringing us back to who we are as women. Not the feminazi stuff, but as genuinely as women, right? So it's interesting, the push right now to get us out of non-binary. All energy is binary. You have electric, which is the one, which is the male energy. You have magnetic, which is the 0, which is the feminine energy. It's true in DNA coding. It's true in computer coding. And it's true in our human genetic makeup. So they want us non-binary. So we don't know who we are. We're confused and in a daze. So the male is the 1. He has the penis. The female has the womb. That's it. But when we don't let them take us off our center, they can't get past us, because that's what all the inversion is, duper's delight, trying to make you go against yourself or what's in your highest good or your children's highest good. If you obviously have a care, whoever has children, you have a responsibility to make decisions for them until they're old enough to do it on their own. Right. Or if you're caring for elderly, what have you there. But it's really just an interesting take on not getting duped, because that's what this whole evil versus good is about. Can they dupe you? Can they get you to give up your money, give up something so they can take from you? It's an imbalance of energy. When we talk about boundaries, I always say to people, I've got my hand up higher just because of the banners in the bottom there. When you come in with energy, you are in a relationship, you come here. Whoever the relationship, doesn't matter if it's a business partner, intimate partner, family, friend, whatever, you come here and you do a dance. Like, it's never one way or another or exactly even, because that would be too rigid. But when you have energy that comes over here and is taking from this person, you've gone too far. Mm-hmm. So what I've noticed about boundaries, nowhere does it say in the literature, stop messing with people, stop causing harm to others. All it says is stand back, get out of the situation, say no politely, but it never says stop hurting anyone. So that's another inversion of the energy. The onus is always on the person not to be victimized or hurt or taken advantage of, but the onus is never on the person to stop doing the hurting. And I mentioned this one time, I was in I don't know if I was on a call and somebody had made a comment about the narcissists aren't going to go for that. Who cares? Like, why do we cater to the narcissists? Oh, because they aren't going to be nice? Right. And where are all these narcissists? In corporations, in governments, institutions, all the places that influence our society.
Right.
So this is maybe a little heavier than what the last presentation was. I got the tail end of that, but it's so important that we understand what we're up against so that we can fly our spaceship right side up.
I have a quick question before you go. So non-binary, I was starting to understand was that this is from a soul level, is that we are going to learn to communicate and be together in community without any kind of separation, including gender. So the non-binary, because there's a lot of children that I'm wondering if they're coming in and are identifying with being non-binary, that they, for the age of Aquarius, are bringing us into that place of communicating from that soul self. What are your thoughts
So
on that?
my this is just an opinion and a thought, and I know I'm going to offend some people here. The New Age movement was created by Aleister Crowley, MI5, MI6, and Mossad.
Okay.
So a lot of the information, because in the 60s, people were getting away from religion, so they had to create something else that they could control with.
Okay.
We are human form. We are organic in our human form. In my opinion, we are IA. We are intelligent already. Everything, the computers, the programs they run through education, through the TV systems, everything else mimics us. We are the true intelligence. For us to remain the true intelligence, and from what I'm hearing, a lot of other planets want our DNA, the beings, because we are creator energy. The woman is, as the womb, is the creator of all life. Yes, we need the male. We need that sperm to be able to fertilize the eggs. But if we come in as non-binary, what's going to happen? We're not having sex. We're not creating the organic human anymore. So I think that's just part of the mind messing with you. I went for a walk one day, and there's two women who walked past me, and like, I don't know how many like 30 seconds later, three young boys walked past, and one looks at me and goes, "My name's Marilyn." The other goes, "My name's Evelyn." I go, "Wait a minute." I go, "No, it's not." And I go, "What's your name?" And he told me, and he goes, "I'm a girl." And I said, "No, you're not. You're a boy." You know what he said to me? "Okay." So who are these teachers to think that they can mess with a child's sexuality? You're going to convince these children to go in and get your genitals cut off? Where's the narcissism and the sociopathy within the education system to think you even have a right to talk to somebody's child about sex? Where's the conversation about love? So what's happening with the androgyny, the feminist movement with, what's her name? Gloria Steinem. She was a CIA agent telling everybody, get out there and have sex like a man and get money like a man. She masculinized the women is what she did. Then we have the soy and all those products out there and all the women standing up saying men are so, they're the abusers. So we feminize the men. So they're inverting the polarity. So nobody's going to be making babies. If you look at a scale, so let's say the scale is here. This is masculine, extreme masculine energy, and this is extreme feminine. Right in the middle, you're going to meet a partner who's the opposite of wherever you are. So if you have an extremely masculine male, he's going to require an extremely feminine female. It doesn't mean they're not going to have problems in their relationship, but there's a polarity that's involved. Usually people are 60-40, 70-30. So you've got to have that sexual tension to make the sparks fly. You come into the middle of androgyny. Do you ever see the couples where they maybe both wear khaki pants, but different style, and they wear plaid shirts and they have the same hat on, same type of sunglasses? I guarantee you those two are best friends, but they're not having sex, because you need that tension, the electromagnetic tension, to make humanity work. So I think there's a lot of deception and lies going out there. And even in the spiritual community about non-binary, no, we're binary. We're ones and O's. And if we're not careful, we're going to lose our human ability to be able to produce. And everything is going to go into the AI. And that's what they're putting in the molecules. When you make a man-made molecule, it has sharp edges. I don't think I have one right here. It has like an L for an edge. Okay. That's a man-made molecule. That's what they're putting in the jab. So you can't patent what's natural, but you can patent what's man-made. Now that that's in there, they can patent you. You basically gave up everything, your soul. Right. So this is why we really want to look at what's going on and question everything, because we have the right to question everything. Why? Right. Because we're IA, intelligent already. Right. So a lot of people are really pushing this sex ed onto children. And I know there's people, I've got a friend who's a teacher in the United States. They're putting books in the library, boy on boy sex, in the public school library. Where's the outrage that this is child abuse, child sex abuse, instead of what gender am I? They want you to be 6 genders. So you sit there and look, what flavor am I this month? But they don't want you to say, hey, why don't you wait until you're old enough and understand or experience lovemaking instead of sex making? So it's really taken a turn. But our human sexuality is everything, because that's what makes us procreate. Humans are the only species who get sex wrong. If you neuter a male dog, it doesn't make it a female dog. Right. So there's lots of things to look at. So I'm sure I've got
Love
some boiling a little bit.
My mind just like, woo, right now.
So now look at the cone of consciousness. If you want to put that back up, so everybody can do this and we can finish on that note, because I'm sure you've got other people you want to see. So if you can put up the cone of consciousness.
Okay.
And this is an exercise for everyone based on what I just said.
Okay, I got the right one up there. Let me share. There we go.
So now everyone look at this cone based on what I just said. I've given you information that most people don't share this information. I have a very unique way of saying it. Where's your consciousness now? What level are you at? And don't think, just know, use your intuition. Where are you at? Because I bet you every one of you jumped at least 200 or 300. Just because now you know. You want to argue with me about whether 6 genders exist? Who cares? You can do what you want, right? Like anybody can do what they want, but I know the difference, because if we don't get this right, humanity's gone. They want us to be transhuman in no time.
Right.
So where are you now in energy? It was interesting. I had a client come in one day and she said, I'm peaceful. I feel so peaceful. And it was interesting because normally she came in distressed about all the things that were going on in society. So I said, what I do with her muscle testing, I said, here's this cone of consciousness. I said, measure yourself. Where are you? And she didn't look at it. She goes, I'm at about 600. So we just muscle tested off her thymus. She goes, I'm at about 640. And then we looked at the cone of consciousness. That was peace. So she identified herself correctly, her true emotion. This is what we should be identifying as what emotions feel like. What does love feel like? What does joy feel like?
Yeah.
So I look at her, and this is the first time I've done that. And I look at her and I go, what am I at? I'm at about 410. So even though I was lower in frequency, but I was there as the teacher. So I had to stay in my reasoning mind. Mm-hmm. So I was where I needed to be, but there's no contest between us.
Right.
So these are tools that we can use to raise our awareness. So
that's good. I'm used to using a pendulum for it, so I'm gonna practice that and just tap in with myself and check it out.
Pendulums are great. I have pendulums, L rods. They're all divination. Your cards, I saw your dragon cards.
Yeah,
they're all divination tools to help us trust ourselves, because ultimately our connection with source and all the energy around us. This is too much to go into right now, but it's that connection, that information field that we're all part of, that we're meant to tap into. And that's why they're putting up the 5G and everything else, right? Because they want to interfere with our little brain circuits. And it's like, no, we're staying above it all. Right. So we've got this.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I feel like you're like, woo, the whirlwind that came in. So thank you. I appreciate it. And I definitely want to have you back. So we'll chat.
Love to. I would love to.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, Sandy.
You're welcome.
Bye.